Yeah, I have this battery disconnect on my El Camino. It's like the blade type, and maybe this isn't the best type to have because I notice sometimes this will get a little dirty, and maybe I'll scrape this off with a pocket knife in here and it's clean. But this part actually got so corroded or dirty that it didn't start the car. And I says, wait a minute, the lights didn't work. I said, wait a minute, I know the battery's charged up. So I went out here and I just moved this back and forth a bunch of times, sprayed a WD-40 on it, it worked. And it seems like it's tight, but the only problem is it gets corrosion in there after a while. So what I'm going to do is drill out this rivet and put a bolt in there, a screw or something that I can actually tighten it down every once in a while if I need to, or take it apart every once in a while and clean it. Maybe if you really want to go overkill, would be to have a wire go from here to this, so it's double connected. It's not just connected here, it's connected there to here. I don't know, but I'm not going to do that. But it's like if you made it out of stainless steel, that would also, stainless steel is not a perfect conductor. Copper is a good conductor. Now, of course, if you gold plate it, that would be great, but it would bring up the price a couple bucks. So I'm going to drill this thing out and put a freaking bolt in there, and maybe couple little washers or something. So I could pull it apart whenever I need to and tighten it down or whatever. But man, it's like, nothing's fail safe, nothing. And actually, you can say it's an old car or whatever, but the new cars, a lot of times you get these crazy problems with a new car or newer car, say after it gets several years old, or say it's up in the north where there's a lot of salt on the road and it gets under the hood or whatever. Hey, bad grounds. There's a lot of grounds. It's not just battery grounds. It's grounds for like all kinds of electrical components, the EGR valve, the computer. There's all kinds of separate grounds. And sometimes, even though they got these great connections that supposedly keep all kinds of corrosion out, and a bad connection somewhere can make your engine run really crazy. With this thing, there's really not much to it. I mean, it's got the HEI. That's the most complicated thing that's in this thing. No computer. This is, I like this because I disconnect it a lot of times if I'm letting it sit for a month or so, and this way the battery stays 100% charged. There's no parasitic draw of any kind, and I noticed there's a difference. The battery will keep a full charge the whole damn time. So I like this thing, but it was good for few years till it gets, if you spray a bunch of WD-40 and it gets clean. But I'm thinking, I want this thing fail safe, so we're gonna drill out that thing and fix it. Well, I took this little blade out of here, and it's semi-clean because I sprayed WD-40 and I was working it back and forth. I'm gonna put this bolt in here instead with a couple nuts on it, and we're gonna clean up this, get that cleaned up real good, and run the paper through here, the emery through there. What I'm also going to do is I am going to put a wire on it. It's going to go, this is not enough to freaking, make a good ground for the whole engine, but you got to remember to shorten it. The length of the wire matters too. There's actually an extra ground on here from the battery that goes to the body that it's not much thicker than this. Actually, I don't know what this gauge is, 14 or gauge or something, but I'm going to have it bolted to there, and the other end I'm going to rivet it to this thing right here, or screw it to this way, just in case this gets a little bit too dirty at one point in the future, and I could take it apart and clean it every once in a while, or tighten it down. Should make it feel safe as long as I keep after it every 6 months or so, whatever, So anyway, that'll be solid as a rock, just to make sure everything's going to work on this damn thing, because, things can happen at the most inopportune time, and that's what you don't want, right? Maybe you're making your getaway. I don't know. You never know. Well, this is done. And actually, even something this simple is more involved than you think. Because I had to cut a slight amount of insulation away from here so this can fit in there and get out, because I had to make a little notch for when this attaches to this adapter, And I cleaned everything up. So now, if there's a double nut on there, and so, if I got to unscrew it or tighten a screw down or something like that or clean it, I don't have to take it apart, But actually, if you put WD-40 on this thing, it's a little tighter than it was originally, too. That's another thing, so it should be making good contact. But if you put WD-40 on this, that'll make it last longer. I think I don't know what I sprayed on there, man. I sprayed some kind of junk, and might not have been WD-40 because you want something that's both a cleaner and a lubricant. And actually, I think if you put a little bit of vinegar, just several drops of vinegar on there, then let it sit and then work it back and forth, and WD-40 should be okay. But I think this is not going to be a problem. I think I put some light petroleum jelly on there or something like that. Still corroded. But it took a couple of years to do this. But now with this, even though you notice this wire, this is secondary ground. It's it's maybe 2.5 times longer. It's not that much thicker than this one. And this is a very short distance. So, who the hell knows? It's a combination of distance and gauge of wire that you need. So, even this, somehow this failed all the way. That might work for a very short period of time, But it's just a little added insurance, a little extra ground there, because I like this thing. And, sometimes I don't use this El Camino for freaking months at a time. I disconnect the battery. And this battery's been here a long time. The next time I put a battery in here, it might be, this is a Group 27. You can see 27 on there. It's a Walmart, but I always keep a charger on. I always put the Pedini charger on and all that type of stuff. But the next one I'm going to probably get is a Group 31 truck battery. It's maybe a half an inch higher, maybe a little 3/4 of an inch this way, maybe a 1/4 inch that way. It should fit in there no problem. And it weighs like 80 pounds. But it'll provide like 1150 cold cranking amps. And it's like a $200 battery though. So, but I'll also have the jump starter, the Schumacher jump starter too. I think I'm glad I'm keeping it in the car too. It's this little Schumacher charger. I know there's a lot of different brands out there, and this thing's probably made in China, but Schumacher's China's quality is better than the other China's quality. So keep it up at 100%. You open up this, plug that in there. You hit the button here, then you hit the button here after it's all attached. Make sure it's attached first. Start them up. But that's one of the worst things you gotta have a problem with sometimes with any car. Freaking battery. I don't even give a damn if it's a 2-year-old car. Half the batteries they stick in these cars today, they're not really designed to last that long. And on top of it, even in modern cars with all the freaking electronics and they got some parasitic draw, batteries don't last as long. But you can't do that with a modern car, because every time you be freaking disconnecting a battery like that with a modern car, you be resetting the computer. You be resetting everything. Everything that you set in your radio, your GPS, whatever the hell it is, it's all going bye-bye. Then the engine management system's got to relearn. So, I like these simple old things. And one thing I'm going to be doing here in the future is I'm going to be putting in HHO, I think, on this thing to hopefully get up the mileage a little more. It'll never be as good as an electronic ignition with, fuel injection. You can put an aftermarket fuel injection in here. But if I put an aftermarket fuel injection in here, if I disconnect the battery, it's going to have to do all the relearning again, whatever the hell I programmed into it, right? same kind of garbage, right? That's why, you know, for everything you add, there's more complexity. I'd rather just add the HHO, and it'll probably have a hose coming up from here into here, going directly with a fitting, an elbow fitting, going directly into that carburetor. So we'll see how that works out. But you know, keep it simple, stupid, man. You can't do this on a new modern car. Well, you could, but you're going to be resetting your computer every freaking time. That's not really a good thing.